episode 12 of the Broadway Shuffle, a Texas Tech sports podcast with Conrad, Clayton, and Zyler. I'm Brennan. And Red Raiders, we hope all of you enjoyed celebrating the Cincinnati win, but it is time to shift our attention to the Arizona Wildcats Saturday night at 10 o'clock from Tucson, Arizona. Gentlemen, how are we doing this week?
Feeling pretty good, man. We made it to the best sports month of the year. It's October. We got football, playoff baseball, basketball coming soon. Just excited for Saturday. Arizona looks pretty good, so I'm excited to see how Tech shapes up against them.
Yeah, doing well. It's a good feeling to be 4-1, something we haven't experienced in a long time. So I've been enjoying every single minute of the week, and looking forward to seeing what we look like against Arizona on Saturday night at a terrible, absolutely horrific kick time of 10 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, it's fun. My mental health is always better when the 18 to 22-year-olds that I root for perform well on Saturday. So that was really exciting. I'm able to be productive at work and not hostile to my coworkers. So been a good start to the week, and excited to get into the stuff tonight.
Gosh, man, it is kind of wild. Like, we are now 4 or 5 years removed from graduating, and 18 to 22 sounds a lot younger now. It's like I still feel like we're a part of them somehow, but we're not. We're much older now. So it is kind of embarrassing in a way.
I remember thinking in college, like, why are there 27 and 28-year-olds at Chimmy? It's like, what are they doing here? And now I understand. It's like you just don't want to let go, man. It's still fun for us old folk.
It is an addiction. It's bad. Even my mom at I won't say her age, but she's still youthful. And she was drinking a mocktail at Chimmy's on Saturday afternoon, man, enjoying the atmosphere. It never gets old. It's just the best place to go to get ready for a Tech game. So, well, Conrad, you hit it, man. It's 10 o'clock Saturday night from Tucson, Arizona. And each and every week here on the Broadway Shuffle, if you are new to the show, we have a Kool-Aid Factory. And that Kool-Aid Factory is here to either hype up or demolish the Texas Tech football program, depending on the week. But each week we release a flavor. And Conrad Mills is our CEO of the Texas Tech Kool-Aid Factory here on the Broadway Shuffle. So, Conrad, what is the flavor of the week for the Arizona Wildcats, and how much Kool-Aid hype are you buying into?
Well, first and foremost, I must say how much of an honor it is to serve as the CEO of the Broadway Shuffle's Kool-Aid Factory. It's the honor of a lifetime. It's something that I will never forget and will always hold near and dear to my heart. So it's been a wild ride so far this season. We've fired everybody. We've hired everybody. We've hired a new sales consultant in Lubbock. And right now the factory is doing extremely well, especially sitting here at 4-1. So with that being said, it is my joy, my pleasure, and my honor to introduce our flavor for the week, Tucson Tea. For those of you who do not know, Tucson, Arizona is where we'll be playing on Saturday night. That is where the University of Arizona is, and we're going to go in there and be selling Tucson Tea all over the place, and we'll be whipping that up and getting it out to our many fans that are there, because we're going to win this game. So it is an honor to announce Tucson Tea this evening. Send in your orders, and we'll make sure that gets to you by Saturday night at 10 p.m. It gives us more time to get them to you. So Tucson Tea is coming at you hot.
I love it. Tucson Tea, man. And shout out to our new sales rep out in Lubbock, Ryan Hawkins. And then Dylan Burrow, another good friend of ours. He wants to be a grunt. He's sweeping the floors in the Kool-Aid Factory. And so we've brought him on as well. And any alumni that listen to the show, put your applications below in the YouTube comments. Make sure you subscribe and comment what role you want in the Kool-Aid Factory, maybe some flavor ideas, and what your stock level is in Texas Tech football. We're feeling pretty good being 4-1, but it's on a week-to-week, sometimes even a day-to-day basis. So, Zyler, Clayton, y'all like some Tucson Tea this week, or are you a little hesitant going on the road?
I'll always take whatever Kool-Aid's available, man. I'm a little hesitant because it's a road game, but that's not going to stop me from drinking it.
Listen, the last time Conrad tried to sell me Kool-Aid when we were going on the road, this thing's got extremely out of hand. And the group messages, the message boards, everybody got out of control. So I think I'm going to do a sampler. I don't know that I'm going to be buying a product in bulk this time. So
you can get a flight.
Taste. Yeah, I need a flight, like a Tucson Tea flight, something I can sip on while I enjoy the game.
Yeah, I know the road woes, man. It's something we've talked a lot about here the last couple of years with this football team and this program, and we're just waiting for one solid road win. You're seeing a lot of teams in the Big 12 get those. I mean, Colorado demolishing UCF on the road, Utah beating Oklahoma State on the road. Any team that's kind of competed and is competing for the conference title this year, it looks like they do have a quality road win already on their record. And so if you want to be taken seriously, that's something you're going to have to do at some point this season. So, well, Zyler, with that, man, let's get right into it. Arizona preview and any injury notes we have. You want to start with injuries on our end and then kind of go into Arizona's injuries, and we can kind of walk through their defense and offensive thoughts after that.
Yeah, some good news. No season-ending injuries this week. I continue to doubt whether we're going to see Javion Wilcox. He keeps getting listed as out for each game. He'd be a backup safety for you. The big note for us on the injury front is Chapman Lewis is questionable. He had a hamstring issue, and then obviously Braylon Lux's status is going to be big for this game, as we're going to get into a little bit later. The Arizona offense is something that you need to fear and something that you need to respect, especially in the secondary. And being down 2 starters back there would not be an ideal setup. Some kind of ancillary or minor injury notes, just Jalen Peoples and Plunk both being questionables, at least noticeable. I'm assuming both of these guys are going to play, but Plunk is like your third string safety. If he is out, you're looking at like true freshmen potentially suiting up and not spring enrollees. You're looking at guys that, got here in June and they will be playing a game in October. So that could be concerning if that is, if all 3 or 4 of these guys are out. Those are the only really big notes that I had there. On the Arizona side, there are some things that we do need to note. Jara Anderson, one of their defensive tackles, confirmed to be out for the year. He hadn't played yet this season, but he was going to be in the rotation. He's gone for the year with some sort of fracture. Their best running back, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, is got this weird ineligibility thing. He played the first 2 games, but then was ruled ineligible, and so he's not playing anymore. And then Traden Stukes, their starting nickelback, he went down with a non-contact injury and then did not return in the game. I seriously doubt that he's going to play. Their starting cornerback, Marquise Groves-Killebrew, did not play in week 5. No note, nothing in the press conference, so not sure what's going to be going on there. Leif Magnuson was questionable. He's their starting right guard. And then Raymelo Murphy, one of their starting receivers, is still out. One of their starting defensive tackles, Chuba May, didn't play in week 5. We'll see if he shows up this week. And then Malachi Riley, another receiver for them, didn't play last week. So they have some injuries, not necessarily to a lot of their stars, but they've got a lot of guys that are questionable just like we do. They're just not they don't do an injury report. They don't do any of that like we do. So it's maybe not as out there as some of the Texas Tech stuff is.
So with Lux potentially being at least on the injury report, we need him. If there's one game we need him against one receiver, it's this game.
Yeah.
This is the best receiver you're going to play all season. Am I wrong? I mean, this guy's
maybe Travis
Hunter.
Maybe Travis Hunter. Yeah. But I mean,
yeah,
we're looking at a first round top 15, 20 pick in this upcoming draft. So you need all you can have on the defensive side of the ball. And so it'll be a very bad sign if Lux cannot go for you this weekend.
I may curl up into a ball if Lux can't play this weekend.
I'll
cry.
It'll be redshirt freshman Macho Stevenson and then Marion Horn, both guys who I think are like maybe 175 pounds apiece. And McMillan is 6'5", like 240 or 230, like something. He is a huge receiver.
Yeah.
But he's got speed too.
Yeah, it's like not only is he big, he's also fast. So congratulations.
Yeah, if no Tucson Tea coming Conrad's way if Lux is rolled out Saturday night, that's for sure.
Yeah, we may discontinue that product very quickly if Lux is not playing.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so then let's go ahead and go through their defense, Z. What do we need to know about them on the defensive side of the ball? And do you feel like our offense can exploit them in any specific area?
Yeah, man. I mean, their season's been so interesting. This is a team both Clayton and I were not super high on coming into the year. I think they were top 25 to start the year, and they're just outside of the top 25 in the AP poll, which, if we ever get to talk about that, you'll hear how meaningless that is. But it's basically entirely new from last year. They have a ton of new pieces, especially on that defensive line. Another piece that Clayton's probably going to mention after this. Tacario Davis is probably going to be a first-round corner. He's like a 6'4", humongous cornerback on the outside. The rest of their defensive back pieces, as far as on the outside in coverage, not necessarily concerning, but he is really, really good. I hope we don't even throw at him. Hopefully he's lined up outside on like Douglas, or, maybe let's throw Dre McCray out there and make him cover him. But if he blankets Josh Kelly, I think that's going to be a problem. He is good. He's fast. He's big, and he's physical. It'll be the best cornerback you've seen all year. And then Trey Smith, the best defensive lineman on the team by far. He's going to be coming off the edge. The San Jose State transfer followed Brent Brennan over as he arrived as the new Arizona Wildcats head coach. 17 pass pressures or hurries on the year. He's going to be a big responsibility for whoever we're throwing out at the tackle positions. Seems like that's a new person every single week. But their defensive success rate, very pedestrian, 80th in the country, not something that's, super imposing. They've been really bad on early downs. We have been also really bad on early downs offensively. Who wins this kind of battle of bad on bad? Can we, exploit that weakness, or are they going to finally turn this into a strength in the game? I think that's going to be a big piece here. And then we've been really, really good on third downs. 16th in the country as far as our conversion percentage is concerned, and they've been bad there. Can we continue that, or do we regress to the mean? I think those are two of the things that I'm going to be watching for us offensively as we kind of look to attack this defense. Is can we, be successful on our first and second down runs if we choose to do that, and then are we putting ourselves in position to convert, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2, things like that, and not 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, things like that. Anybody else got thoughts on their defense?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Tacario Davis too, because I'm really interested to see how they use him against Tech. I wasn't really paying attention when I was watching the Utah game to see if he was following a specific receiver. But like you said, I hope he doesn't follow Kelly. I think if he follows Josh Kelly, I feel like you still have to try to get him the ball because he's your best playmaker on offense, either him or Taj. But if he does stay on one side, I would definitely try to avoid whatever side he's lined up on.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Clayton, you brought up something when we were talking. You were like, Arizona brought the ball, or they allowed Utah to get inside. What was that stat you had about them getting across the 50 like 10 times or something like that, and they didn't convert? It was something ridiculous.
It wasn't 10, it was 6, but they had 3 drives that got to the inside the 12, and they got 3 total points from those, and then they had another 3 inside the 50, and they scored 10 total points. Yeah, so Utah moved the ball, and the QB play was not good from Isaac Wilson. So I feel like you should be able to move the ball, but in that game they were able to stand up in the red zone. So our execution will have to be a lot better. But I will say that a lot of the Utah red zone miscues were kind of self-inflicted. They were some terrible play calls and just some misses on Wilson's part too.
It's a good thing we're not characterized by terrible play calls in the red zone.
Exactly.
We've got the best offensive coordinator in the nation, Zach Kitley. Shout out, Zach, if you're watching the show. I was going to mention that too. It was interesting watching a little bit of that game and looking back at the box score, because it does seem like, based on what happened, and if Isaac may be worse than his brother Zach, just throwing that out there. If Isaac Wilson can move the ball in this defense, I think you're going to be able to do something, because you have a better running back than Utah does, and you've got weapons across the board. So if they can move the ball like they did, you should be able to do something similar. And then it's just all about execution when you get to the red zone, because I think you're going to be able to go up and down the field. It's just, can you make the plays when you need to make them?
For sure, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see on the road. Their stadium is actually smaller than yours. So it's not like this home crowd is going to be extremely loud and difficult to play in. So just the line of scrimmage play, like at Washington State, it was awful, and so just being disciplined will take you a long way in this game. I think that's one thing I'm looking for, particularly out of your offense, is especially with the pass rusher, Z, like you mentioned. I mean, when you're playing a physical guy like that, how's the line going to hold up? Are you going to be able to still protect Barron, which you've been pretty good at this year up to this point still. So lots to consider when it's coming into how is the team going to manage just playing on the road again after what happened at Washington State and late at night. So.
And let me mention this too. They are 56th in the country in total offense, which that Cincinnati was, I think, 16 when you played them. They were top 20 for sure. So that means something, and I think we should take that into account. Now, granted, Fafita and McMillan have not clicked this year like they did last year, and so I feel like they're almost due for a big breakout game together. Sure, last week was good, but there were some crazy games that they had last year. So that's obviously playing a factor in how they're doing on the offensive side of the ball, and so if they don't click and they're still kind of off like they have been, I think that means that you can potentially maybe hold them to less points than we would have maybe thought before the beginning of the season, just because even when Clayton and Zyler weren't that high on them, they still admitted that Fafita and McMillan are two absolute studs in terms of players of their position. So that's interesting to see, and I'll be fascinated to see how that works out. If they click or if they stay kind of not where they were last year.
Yeah. Z, anything else on the offense? Anyone else we should be looking out for on Saturday?
Yeah, it's such an interesting like up and down season. So one of the things that's just been so strange is they came out after the Utah game and said, yes, Dino Babers, our offensive coordinator, is no longer calling plays. It's now Matt Adkins or something like that. And it was like a known thing that this is what Dino Babers was always going to do. A sitting head coach last year came in to be the offensive coordinator and give up play calling duties 3 games into the season. Like, that was weird. I don't know why they did that. I don't know what was necessarily going on, but their offense wasn't very good. In week 2, they played Northern Arizona and they scored 22 points. And then against Kansas State in Manhattan, they only scored 7. And they've had weird offensive issues. It's like super up and down. You'll watch highlight plays of Fafita and McMillan and you're like, how does this team not score every single drive? And then you'll look at some of their advanced stats and you're like, man, it's really not that impressive when you look at some of that stuff. Their EPA per dropback on passing plays, 0.139, good for 15th in the country. But the way that they're moving the ball, so their echo rate is something that I'll bring up. And that's how often when you have the ball, do you get a snap inside your opponent's 40? They're getting that about 40% of the time, which is 92nd in the country. So just struggling to move the ball. And then conversions inside the red zone, they're even worse. It's 111th. So maybe that's something that you can, one, maybe stop them from driving the ball, but when they get in the red zone, maybe you have an opportunity to, hold them to 3. I think if your defense holds them to field goals every single time they get the ball, you've got a chance to win this game. I know that sounds bad, but limit the explosive plays, make them drive the length of the field, and then hold them in the red zone. I think those are going to be big things. I don't mean to transition, kind of to talk about our defense, but it'll start with Fafita and McMillan. Fafita's the quarterback. McMillan's obviously that really good receiver that we talked about. Their offensive line is pretty solid too. They've got a guy over on the right tackle spot. Let me find his name. Jonas Savayanea, who's excellent. Probably going to be a day 1 or day 2 pick in the NFL. And then Wendell Moe is a really good left guard for them. They're all really good pass blockers. They didn't allow a single sack against Utah, who, quite frankly, has a much better defense than you do. So I wouldn't expect us to get a sack. Also, Fafita's really good in the pocket. He's really quick. Joey described him as Kyler Murray-like. So don't be shocked to see him moving around and, extending the plays. And that's where I think our coverage has got to be disciplined. That first read may not be what gets you. It may be that second read or that third read on the broken play where he bombs one down the field. So should be interesting. Not super worried about a ton of the other offensive pieces. Maybe the tight end, Keon Burnett, he's been a nice addition, but Quali Conley's going to take over at running back for them, and he's good, but he's not as good as Corey Kiner. I don't think he's as good as Cam Scatterbo. He's not going to be as good as some of the other running backs you see this year. He's fine, but he's not, something I would base my defensive game plan around.
Yeah, so you had to bring up Kyler Murray's name here. So is it Conrad? You doing okay over there, bud? Is you gonna watch Fafita? Will Fafita be your screensaver come Sunday afternoon if he goes off against Zach?
No, Kyler is one of one, my guy. Kyler's the greatest high school football player ever to play in the state of Texas. So we can have that debate on another podcast. But I will say, whenever Kyler posted that picture of him and Cliff in 2013 or whatever, sitting on Jones AT&T Stadium, sometimes I look at that before I go to sleep and think, man, what could have been? What could have been? But fate had it another way. So
it did.
But
it did.
yes,
I just wanted to check on.
Great.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking. Clayton, any
he's
thoughts?
He's looking pretty good this year, isn't he?
He's they're 1-3, I think, but he's doing
1-3.
Yeah. He's still
defense can't stop anybody.
Still very mid. But Clayton, any specific thoughts on Arizona's offense?
Yeah, Zyler pretty much touched on everything I wanted to talk about, but I do want to talk about the offensive coordinator thing a little more. Watching the Utah game, it doesn't feel like they really know what they want to do on offense. Like they obviously want to air it out, but it's not like they're running a lot of plays for McMillan. Like on the first drive, he had 4 catches for 30 yards, and the rest of the game he was pretty much non-existent. I think he had 4 targets for 2 catches, 20 yards the rest of the game. The running backs, like their running game was gashing Utah, but they obviously don't want to stick with it. Like I think they get greedy and they want the big plays. Like Fafita wants to throw the deep ball and they'll get away from what's working. So going to the Tech game, I would like to see us like play with pretty light boxes because I don't trust them to actually stick with the run, even if it's working against us.
Let me say this: what if Lux does play, and assuming that he covers Fafita most of the game, probably 70, 75, 80% of the game, what is your confidence level in Lux against McMillan?
I mean, I still think you would need a safety over the top of him on most plays.
If DeRuiter says, Lux, you lock down McMillan, we're going to let everybody else play defense, that is going to be coaching malpractice. He can't. Well, nothing against Lux.
I'm not talking like one, obviously with a safety over the top, but like how much does that make a difference for you and your team if you've got Lux covering McMillan and a safety obviously over the top, as if it's Mohorn? Like, how much of a difference do you think that makes? Do you think it's a 1 touchdown difference, 10-point difference? What do you think that does for you? Like, how big of a difference maker is Braylon Lux? Is basically what I'm asking.
I think I would add like 4 percentage points to whatever my confidence interval is. So if I feel like 40% confident in us winning, I'd go like 44, something like that.
Okay.
Quite frankly, honestly, like McMillan is by far the most talented receiver you'll see except for Hunter, but they don't use him in ways that really scare you, in my opinion. This season, obviously last year is a different story, but I mean, like 2/3 of his yards came in one game against whoever that was, New Mexico.
Yeah, 300 yards in one game.
Colorado uses Travis Hunter way better than Arizona uses McMillan.
I mean, Clayton, we touched on this. Like when we were listening to Arizona pressers and they were like, we're not going to change much from the offense last year. We're just going to run what they did last year. It's like, you don't just do that. You don't just take the old playbook and say, yeah, we'll run this. Like that's not how a scheme works. That was the biggest red flag for me. And we've already harped on that enough, but it's not shocking to see them having issues utilizing his talent. But if there's anything that can get a player right going forward in the rest of the season, it's a Texas Tech defense.
I was going to say, well, Braylon Lux will help. It doesn't mean that he's, an NFL cornerback that's going to stop a 6'5", 240 NFL type receiver every play, So go ahead.
I could see McMillan being like a Josh Dotson type NFL receiver that looked amazing in college, but actually doesn't do anything in the NFL. That's just my thought initially, but I could be wrong on that.
Who do y'all think is the better NFL prospect between Hunter, McMillan, and Luther Burden?
I think I'd rather have Hunter.
Yeah, I'd go Hunter.
Hunter is just a gamer, dude. I mean, like he's playing every snap. He's forcing fumbles. He's getting interceptions. He's catching touchdowns. Like, I would just want a guy like that on my team.
I agree.
I would take T-Mac over Luther Burden, though.
Yeah, Burden's he's pretty small. I feel like, which those type of receivers are working in the NFL now. But I feel like McMillan's definitely a safer bet.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Let's hope McMillan just doesn't do anything on Saturday. How's that sound? But one can dream, right? Well, what about the coaching matchup here? Coach Burden's got a great name, but I hope he's kind of dumb. What do we think?
That's a safe bet.
Yeah, safe. Most Burdens are. Clayton, any thought on Coach Brennan specifically? I know you had some takes from the Utah game that you saw.
Yeah, a couple things stood out from the Utah game. He just made some decisions that I didn't really understand. I already talked about the lack of sticking to the run, which I guess is on the OC. But they scored to go up by 12 with like 7 or 8 minutes left, and they decided not to go for 2 for some reason, which makes no sense to me. And then at the end of the game, it was still a 13-point lead from after they kicked the field goal. They had the ball with like 4 minutes left. and they basically ran 3 dive plays into the line of the scrimmage, lost a yard, and then attempted a 56-yard field goal, which they missed, gave the ball back to Utah at midfield. It's like that. Those things don't matter when you're playing Isaac Wilson, but if it's a close game, I would trust Joey more in that situation than I would him.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think too.
Go ahead, Conrad. I was just gonna say, are the road woes a product of Joey? Like, is it a Joey problem? Is it a game plan problem? Like, Conrad, what do you think? Is it just that we're not talented enough? Why do you think we've struggled so much on the road under Joey?
I think our program is just cursed, man. I don't know. I don't know any other way to say it. I mean, obviously I'm kidding there, but it's interesting because you look at some of these games and you're just wondering, why is it really that hard to go to somebody else's stadium and play? Like, it just, not that you should be favored to win every single one of those games. I don't think you should. There's a reason why home field advantage matters. Obviously, we've seen that at home. Joey's 14-3 at home. It matters. But I don't know if it's necessarily game plan or just coming out flat. I mean, everything in that Washington State game, just to think about this year, felt like you just didn't really show up, and you obviously didn't have Taj. So knowing that you'll have Taj this Saturday makes me feel like this Saturday may be more of a fair evaluation of, has Joey improved in terms of going on the road than Washington State, because we know how big of a loss that is not to have Taj. So I don't know that I can really give an accurate answer of why. Obviously, we're all super plugged into the football program, all insiders here on the Broadway Shuffle. Like and subscribe. But it is something where, you think about what we can do better, and it's like, I don't know, but I'm interested to see how we approach this Saturday night, given that we will have Taj. So, Zyler, do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I think part of it too is a sample size problem. Like, you don't get to go on the road and play Tarleton State and Abilene Christian and programs like that, where it's obviously Abilene wasn't a guaranteed dub, but you don't play FCS teams on the road, so that obviously skews your stat a little bit. And then he's gotten some bad luck in some of his road games. Like, you went to West Virginia in what I thought was a very winnable game, and you lost 2 quarterbacks in the same half. You went to what's the other game that I'm thinking of? And then he's been in a lot of games too. Like, you were ahead in Manhattan 2 years ago. You were ahead, and then you won in Iowa State. You've won at Baylor. You were really competitive against Oklahoma State and Stillwater when they were really good. You had that awful performance against UT. But other than that, I don't think the road games, we're not seeing the blowouts, knock on wood, like we saw in previous stats. I haven't actually been that concerned with our road performance. You haven't been able to get the win, but you've been in a lot of these games. It's just been capitalizing and finishing. I don't know that you have the roster this year to maybe do that, but it's a good opportunity for you to maybe show that maybe it's different this time. But his road performances, I think that's a little bit overblown just due to the teams you're playing, and then kind of some misfortune in some one-score games.
And he's back. The clap has made the return. Yeah. Okay. So Z, I mean, keys to the game specifically for how do we win this game? What would we have to do? What do you need to see to have us come out on top?
Yeah, 3 things for me. It's, if they do decide to go heavy on the passing attack, are you able to slow it down and kind of replicate what some of these other teams have done? Did they fundamentally change the scheme with their new offensive coordinator? I don't think so, but they were able to at least score and move the ball a little bit on this, Utah defense, which I think is one of the top in the conference. Can you just generate pressure? Make Fafita throw it under duress. I'm not even going to ask for sacks. If you get one, that'd be great, but don't let him just sit in the pocket. He will carve you up. He's a good player, and I think our running game has to be good again. Can you get 5 to 6 yards on first down when you choose to run it? Can you get those 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 1s, like, very consistently with your running game? And then I think, with the defense where it is, I think it kind of just is what it is now. I don't think it's going to be an elite unit this year. Can you create some turnovers, or at least be, +2 in my mind? Can you capitalize on a special teams error, or, force a fumble, something like that? I think we go a long way. Those would be the 3 things I have.
Yeah. Clayton?
Yeah, a lot of the same things as Zyler. I would also say don't turn it over. Obviously, the Washington State game, we fumbled the opening kickoff. That can't happen, and you win this game. Don't give up big plays. I touched on it earlier, but they definitely want the big play. I think if you make them drive the length of the field on like 10, 12 play drives, you can have success. And then we also talked about earlier, but I would double McMillan and play super light boxes because I don't think they'll stick with the run over the course of the game. And so I think if you do all those things, you'll have a chance to win.
Kool-Aid man.
Do the little things. The little things right. Do not turn the ball over. Do not have over 50 yards in penalties, and do not make stupid mistakes. I think if you do those things, you should have a chance. I'm not saying you're going to, but you should have a chance to win this game. I don't think their roster is that much better than yours, if at all, to be quite frank. If you just play your game, control what you can control, you will have a chance to win this game. You have too much skill on the offensive side of the ball not to score, like we've seen this year. And then I think the biggest thing, maybe not the biggest thing, those things I would say are huge, but Barron has to play well. He did not play well against Washington State. You need a clean game from him. You need a confident game from him. You need him to build on what he's done since Washington State and be the guy that he's been. He just needs to do it in a different state and a different stadium.
Yeah. Game time to me is going to be a pretty big factor in this too. I mean, 10 o'clock Central Time is wild.
Yeah.
I have not, I mean, mistake me if I'm wrong, but I don't know a time we've ever played at 10 o'clock at night Central. And I don't know when we're flying out there and when we're going, but just body acclimation, getting ready. It did not go well against Washington State. It didn't go well against Wyoming. So the previous two case studies don't look too good to be in our favor when it's coming to playing late at night, having to travel into different time zones. So I'm a little anxious about that. But all that being said, Conrad, I agreed with what you said, and Zyler and Clayton, great points too. I think you do have a chance to win this game. Zyler, you had mentioned a couple weeks ago that Arizona is now looking like your most winnable road game when it comes to Iowa State, TCU, Oklahoma State, a few of those other ones on your calendar. And so with Conrad, I think the TCU game, Conrad's like, all right, what is it,
TCU.
man?
TCU.
Yeah,
I think TCU is a more winnable road game than Arizona because you have to travel 5 hours to Fort Worth and you're playing in the same time zone and you're going to play at a normal time. I think what you said about the game time is huge. I think that's going to be, I mean, that scares me. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to sit on the couch and stay up to watch the whole game. I don't know how, let alone I'd play a football game at starting at 10 p.m.
Hey, as long as you got that jug of Tucson tea there next to you on the couch, I think you'll be able to stay up just fine all night.
I may spike my coffee with some of this.
Yeah, spike coffee and Tucson tea, man. Sounds good. But it will be really interesting to see that. And that's why I don't really take too much stock. Like the Washington State game, I wasn't really expecting us to win. I'm not necessarily expecting you to win this game. If this game was at 2:30 in the afternoon, I would feel much better about our chances. So it does make me more nervous, the fact that you were having to adjust and play late at night. So that'll be that to me is one of the biggest things going on for this game is how ready are you to play? Washington State, you came out, to y'all's point, we're not ready. You dropped the opening kickoff. Everything went wrong early, and that can't happen this game. But on a positive spin, what would a win mean for this program? And if we do win, do you feel like we are now looked at as a serious contender in the conference?
Yeah, dude, for me, you start 3-0 with a road win against a preseason top 25 team. Yeah, whatever that preseason moniker means. That would be, a huge, huge moment for your program. You are now not necessarily contending, but you are in the top 6 probably for Big 12 title odds, if not top 5, just starting that way with, a return home game, likely looking at 4-0. That would be a huge moment for this program. It'll be great that the 15 people that are awake to see the end of this game will get to, talk about that, but would be the best start to the Big 12 season that Joey's probably ever had.
Yeah, agreed. I think if you win this game, yeah, I've said before that I think 7-2 gets to Arlington. I think both teams probably have 2 losses. So, I mean, if you start 3-0, you just need to go 4-2 over the last 6. Excuse me, which is obviously, that's going to be difficult, but that's doable. And then I think also that if we start 3-0, I think that, definitely makes the ACU game just a fluke. And we obviously would have a much better team than we thought after the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, if you win this game, I will be overjoyed, and the Kool-Aid Factory will be producing at an all-time high. If you win this game, I'll be honest, I think you will win this game, but thinking that you will and doing it are two different things. And so if you actually do find a way to win this game, I think the optimism level and the engagement level from your fan base is going to be incredibly high, because this will be the best start you've had in Big 12 play in a long time, and it will be the easiest path to get to a Big 12 championship, because obviously the new look of the Big 12. So if you win this game, it is an absolute tip of the cap to Joey and this coaching staff, because they're the ones that, not that the players don't matter. Obviously players win games, but you got to have a great coaching staff to get you where you want to be. And if they can go on the road at Arizona at 10 p.m., learn from mistakes, and help you get this win and coach you to a win, that's just going to be incredible. And so if you got Baylor at home after that, and then you got TCU, and so we don't need to get too far ahead of ourselves, but just take it one game at a time. And if you win this game, big things can happen for your program.
Well, all that being said, it's prediction time. So Zyler, we discussed it. We analyzed it. Big things for your program if you win. What's your prediction?
After saying all that stuff about the road games and flukiness, I feel kind of bad saying this, but I just think Arizona does a lot of things well that you don't necessarily defend well. I think you're going to have a hard time stopping them defensively if they're able to put together a scheme that works, something that's competent. I think it's probably going to be a bit too much McMillan in this passing attack. This is by and large the best QB that you faced all year. I think Sorsby maybe has a chance to be one of the better ones you faced. He actually impressed me last week quite a bit, but I'm going to take us to probably lose 38-28, and I think that's fine. If that happens, I'm not going to overreact. This is a good team that's on the road in a weird environment right before a bye week. There's a lot of factors playing against you here. The other thing is, big money's come in heavy on Arizona the last couple, 24 hours when the limits moved up. Tech Sports Guy on Twitter is a good follow if you want some gambling information. But when the limits pushed up significantly, you saw a ton of money come in, and it pushed the line all the way up to Arizona -6.5. It's since come back down to Arizona -6, but 2-point swing when the limits open like that means a lot of people feel confident about Arizona, and I'm going to kind of side with Vegas as they take so much of my money consistently. So I'll go Arizona 38, Tech 28.
If you had it your way, if you were right, Texas Tech would be 2-3 right now, I think, based off your predictions. So I feel like I can't wait for the season where we're doing this, and it's like Zyler feels confident in actually picking us to win. You did pick us to beat Cincinnati by 3, so you were right there. Okay, Clayton, prediction.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am also going with the loss here. This is my first prediction for a Tech loss, but I just can't feel good about predicting us to win a Big 12 road game when they've been so few and far between so far. I would not be surprised if we won. I definitely think they're beatable. I think on a neutral field, I could argue that you have the better team, but I will go 35-31 Arizona, just because I have not seen us play well on the road in a while.
Boys, where's your faith? Where's your belief? Where's your trust? Sometimes things don't make sense, and that's okay. That's okay. You can believe, and you can hope, and you can speak it into existence. If you can try, it may not happen, but I'm going to try. And so I'm going to pick us to win 41-35. I think you're going to have a huge statement game right here. And I hope for all of our loyal listeners, they would side with me and believe that you can win this game, because you never know what can happen, man. And we need more positivity in this podcast right now. So let us know in the comments what your predictions are. But man, I'm picking us to win, and I think we can get it done.
I think one of my favorite things about Conrad's predictions is that they sound like the closing to a presidential debate. Like he's making his plea to the American people to vote for me.
Conrad's the next JD Vance, man, or
Yeah.
or maybe if you lose some more hair.
I actually had somebody last week tell me that I reminded them of JD Vance, and he meant it as a compliment.
What context?
And so that's a different conversation offline.
That's the key. It's like, is it a compliment or is it not?
Yeah.
You never know.
He meant it as
climate.
a compliment.
Well,
he meant it as a compliment. So
hey, he's a smart guy.
I'll take whatever compliments I can get in this world, man.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, well, I was gonna pick us to lose. I was back and forth on this all day, and I was like, okay. I mean, realistically, our road record stinks. We have shown nothing to me that we are capable of winning on the road outside of a couple games a year. But Conrad Mills does speak, and I changed my vote, man.
Let's go.
I was an undecided voter in this election cycle, and Conrad Mills has. I'm gonna go. Why not, man? I mean, why not us, right? Look at us.
There you go.
37-31 Texas Tech. We're gonna have enough stops, just barely enough stops, to find a way, and I think. Thank you, Conrad. And I think and if you're listening and wondering like what the hell is going on those sounds, Conrad has found a button that he really enjoys pushing. And so that's what those are. But 37-31 Texas Tech. Man, I don't know. I just feel like this is a statement game to make, and it's an opportunity to welcome yourself to the new Big 12 and say, we are here. We're going to contend. We are the new team in Texas that's going to take over. And I don't know. The Tucson Tea is speaking to me. I feel like the spiritual experience in the Jones. I'm tingling.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a late night party for some reason. And 37-31 Tech. And if I'm wrong, Z, to your point, I'm not disappointed. It's not like the Washington State game coming off ACU where you're like, good Lord, like, are we going to win a game this year after week 2? Like, it looked awful. You lose this game, your goals, your season, the opportunity is still in front of you. You get a bye week than Baylor. So I just want to see us compete on the road. If you go and get blown out, I'm a lot more concerned about this team. But you go play well, find a way to keep it close and win by 6, in my opinion, or lose by 6, I feel really good about your team going forward the rest of the year. So, but we're locking it in. Come on, Conrad. 2v2.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right. Well, good luck to our boys in Arizona. It's time to kind of segue here. We are introducing a new segment of the week that we will be doing every Wednesday night. And without giving too much away, Zyler, you're going to take it over. But this is something that we have created on a whim, and we think we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. We hope you get a lot out of it. So, Zyler, without further ado, man, why don't you introduce our new segment that we will be rolling out every episode Thursday morning?
Yeah, so we realized as we were, kind of creating content, and, shout out to our last episode. It was the most viewed episode we've had in our, illustrious career. It's been really awesome, but we needed a new segment. And so we were getting a bit too chummy. We needed an avenue for us to explain our true passions. And for me, that is mainly hating on other teams and players. That's one of the best parts of sports. I wanted to do a fraud power rankings, but that was just too bland and too, vanilla. We needed something a little more flavorful and fun for the Broadway Shuffle. Therefore, we are debuting a new honor of the week. In memory of one of the most fraudulent individuals ever associated with Texas Tech, we are proud to announce our new segment, the Tommy Tuberville of the Week. And I will be giving you my Tommy Tuberville of the Week right now. It was between this particular individual and the Iran missile program. But this week, Jalen Daniels is your Tommy Tuberville of the week. Through 5 games, he has 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, is throwing for 160 yards a game, and has 32 rushing attempts for 3.4 a carry. Baron Morton has almost half of his rushing yards on the season, and he's a terrible runner. Kansas thought this was the year, and unfortunately, they're now 1-4 on the back of Jalen Daniels. You're an underdog in week 3. or no, excuse me, you're an underdog this week to a team that won 3 games last year. Jalen Daniels, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week. Thank you.
Wow. Are we?
That was an awesome performance.
That was unbelievable, Zyler. Are we?
Oh my gosh.
You and
That was
Conrad
amazing.
are presidential. I don't know if it's coming off the debate or what, but you guys are. Your opening monologues and closing monologues are better than most, for sure. So, okay, Clayton, who is your Tommy Tuberville of the week?
Yeah, I didn't plan mine out as well as Zyler, but my Tommy Tuberville of the week is Lane Kiffin. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Ole Miss football, but a couple years ago he debuted the nickname for Ole Miss as the SIP. I guess it's short for Mississippi, which Ole Miss was already short for Mississippi. And this last week they decided to paint the end zones the SIP, which I think is the dumbest thing. And then they proceeded to lose 17-20 to unranked Kentucky at home. So Lane Kiffin, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week.
Conrad Mills, who's your Tommy
Man.
Tuberville of the week?
There are certain people that leave an indelible impact on your life. Some in a good way, in a positive way that you'll never forget and you'll remember with fond memories, and some that you just would prefer never to think about again in some instances. And my Tommy Tuberville of the week this week is someone that Red Raider fans will know, that they will remember, that they will have some fond memories with because of a certain coach that made him what he was. But my Tommy Tuberville of the week was single-handedly probably the worst player on the football field last time Oklahoma State played football against Kansas State. He missed countless throws. He looked like a little girl throwing a shot put, was inaccurate as can be. I am a 27-year-old man, and I think I can throw a football better than this individual. So Alan Bowman, Oklahoma State quarterback, you should be in a desk job. You are my Tommy Tuberville of the week.
Alan Bowman, welcome to Goosehead Insurance.
Yes. Oh, dude.
This is already this segment is already going exactly how I hoped it would go. Man, dude, Conrad, wow, I have to just reset for a second here. I was gonna use Alan Bowman. So now I'm stuck without a let me go on the fly really quick.
Well, let me give you some time to think. Dear listener, you need to understand that we all at one time were a huge fan. We're all huge fans of Alan Bowman because he was a good player for you because of the offensive genius Cliff Kingsbury, who's currently absolutely demolishing the NFL with Jalen Daniels from LSU, the Washington Commanders starting quarterback. So we were all once a fan of Alan Bowman, but my friend Alan, I know you're a listener of the pod. 7 years in college, man, it's just too long. I mean, college was fun. It was enjoyable. I met these guys on it. But if you're listening, sometimes you just got to move on. And Goosehead Insurance has a seat warm for you. We know some people over there, and I'm sure you'd make a great addition to their team, especially with your new mustache, man. I mean, you're killing it there. Just keep the mustache and or maybe shave it off, and then you'll complete some more passes. But you never know what can happen. So, Brennan, who is your Tommy Tuberville after that explanation about why mine was Alan Bowman?
Gosh, I wish I had more time. I mean, literally, I was gonna use him as well. I even had his stats ready to go from the last 2 weeks and everything. Maybe I'll just double down on Alan Bowman.
We should see. Maybe it can be a running Tommy Tuberville. Yes, we'll have a season-ending winner, like the Tommy Tuberville of the Year award. So
and we could give them an award. Actually, you know what? Actually, so my Tommy Tuberville of the week is going to be Tommy Tuberville. This man single-handedly got to Lubbock and said, and nice, like, WTF did I do? And honestly, anyone that thinks so at Lubbock can go screw themselves. So Tommy
Tyler Shuck.
Tyler Shuck could be mine too. But Tommy Tuberville gets there, leaves for Cincinnati, and then says, I'm not really good at this anymore. Let me go run for Senate. And I'm sure he's doing the Lord's work and the good. He also coached at Auburn. Like, who coaches at Auburn? I mean, Hugh Freeze left there, Gus Malzahn, and is having more fun at Central Florida.
He got fired.
He did win a national
Didn't he?
championship.
Still. Tommy did win a natty there, actually, but that was the only claim to fame he had, So
Did he?
Tommy Tuberville, yeah, he
Wait,
did.
Tommy won one?
Yeah, I think so.
Dang,
No,
I
he
did
didn't
not
win a
know that.
national championship.
They went
He
third-
recruited
Gus
the
won
Auburn
one.
team.
They went 13-0 with Tommy, though, didn't they, one year? I'm pretty sure they went
I'll look it up.
undefeated one year.
Let's
That was
stop
his, like,
debating Tommy Tuberville facts.
Let's fact check Tommy Tuberville real quick.
I'm going to fact check you. But
fact-
y'all keep
Malzahn was for
riffing.
sure the one who won with Cam Newton.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
beat.
No,
he
no, no.
beat
That
Oregon.
that was Gene Chiswick.
Oh, that was Gene Chiswick. Malzahn
No.
was the OC.
Gene Chiswick was the head coach when Newton won.
Oh shoot! He
Oh, yeah.
he went 13-0. He won the Sugar Bowl.
Come on, guys. I know my Tommy Tuberville history here. I couldn't roast him if I didn't know his past. But
They got second. Okay, huh?
yeah, so 13. That was like his one, his claim to fame at Auburn. But nonetheless, he leaves
Right.
Lubbock. He couldn't stand Tech, and for that, you were a fraud. Because if you don't like Lubbock and you don't like the Red Raiders, you can get out of my face, dude. Go have fun pushing conservative values in Alabama. We don't need you in
That's
Texas.
a real difficult job.
It's hard
Yeah.
there. Trust me. I know the state well. It's hard to push conservative values in Alabama for sure. So
Very
anyways,
blue
man.
state.
Yes. Yeah. So anyways, Tommy Tuberville, because I was unprepared or my gut stolen. You are my fraud. Tommy, you're my Tommy Tuberville. So anyways, well, that's awesome, man. I cannot wait to do that weekly. And if you've got any frauds you want to put in the show, you can put us even. Comment below, but just make sure you subscribe. Clayton Anderson, some dude comments. Clayton Anderson, you're my Tommy Tuberville of the week. But subscribe and comment below. We'd love to hear what you guys think as well, too. So, all right, Big 12 power rankings. Let's roll. Clayton, who do you got for us this week?
All right, this week I have BYU at number 1. I felt like
Whoa.
you just have to put them at number 1. They beaten Kansas State. They beaten SMU, Baylor. So I have them at 1. I have K-State at 2, Colorado all the way up at 3, Iowa
Whoa.
State 4, Arizona 5, Tech 6, TCU 7, Utah 8.
Wow.
Utah, if they get Rising back, will skyrocket. But for now, I have to put them at 8. UCF 9, Oklahoma State 10, West Virginia 11, Baylor 12, Cincinnati 13, Arizona State 14, Kansas 15, Houston 16.
Nice.
BYU at 1. Who would have thought that, man?
Not me.
Not me, no. Conrad.
We've got Kansas State at 1. Avery Johnson looked a lot better in their last game. I also am high on BYU. I think they deserve that at number 2. Then I've got Arizona at number 3. Probably a little high now thinking about this, but that's okay. Then I've got Iowa State at 4, Utah at 5, and then your Red Raiders at number 6. Undefeated, 2-0, baby. I mean, I can't hate. Then I have the Tommy Tuberville of the week, Alan Bowman, Oklahoma State Cowboys at number 7, Colorado at 8, UCF, West Virginia, the TCU Horned Frogs after that. And then I've got Kansas, Cincinnati, Arizona State, and my final 2. It gives me so much joy to announce that Baylor's number 15, and then you have Houston at 16.
All right.
Yeah.
Z, go ahead.
Yep, I'll go Kansas State number 1. I've got Utah still at 2. I believe in this team. Cam Rising's going to be back, and they're going to be good. Iowa State at 3, BYU at 4. I couldn't decide what to do with Colorado and UCF. That was just such a shocking result. So I chose to kind of move Colorado up a lot, and then move UCF down quite a bit. I've still got TCU at 6, Oklahoma State at 7, Arizona at 8, Tech at 9, UCF at 10. West Virginia at 11, Kansas at 12, Baylor at 13, Cincinnati at 14, Arizona State at 15, and then Houston at 16.
Yeah, man, this was interesting because we've kind of had the usual top 5, like the Utah, Iowa State, Kansas State, and now, I mean, BYU's made their way. Colorado's kind of moved their way up, and then even having us in the top 8. I think most of y'all all season had us at least bottom 10, maybe snuck up, bottom 6, maybe snuck up to 9, 1 week. But so week to week, it could change in this conference. I think that's what makes the new Big 12 so exciting is we really don't know. I mean, we could go out and smoke Arizona and look like the best team in the conference, then go lose to Baylor at home. and just be
That will
completely
never happen.
And well, it happened 2 years ago, unfortunately.
I've forgotten about it.
I'm sure you did. You just never know. You just never know, man. Like week to week in the new Big 12, but it's a ton of fun watching. Like good for BYU being 5-0, surprising the nation right now, and I'd like to see them keep it up. Their schedule isn't too difficult either. If they can kind of get through these next 3 to 4 weeks, they do play Utah. They've got some winnable games at the end that they should be favored in. So there's a real chance they are playing in Arlington against the Texas Tech Red Raiders in December. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Well, boys, that was a ton of fun. Man, I still cannot get over the Tommy Tuberville fraud in the segment, man. We are gonna have way too much fun doing that. I hope our fans and listeners enjoy that as well. So each and every week we end the show with a tech trivia question with Zyler. So Zyler, what do you have for us tonight?
Yeah, this inspiration actually comes courtesy of Conrad Mills, but we were, talking Barron's on a really good pace. He's got, I think, 14 touchdowns through 5 games. Is that correct? Maybe somebody fact check me, but on pace for over 30 touchdowns on the season. Do you know the last Texas Tech quarterback to throw for over 30 touchdowns in a season?
Is it Shimanek?
I'll take that guess, Brennan.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Shimanek, it would be Pat. But I do feel like Shimanek had, I think, 34 touchdowns if I remember his senior season.
Mm-hmm. Conrad,
I'm gonna go Jackson Tyner.
McLean Carter's still on the board.
Yeah,
that's obviously a joke for our listeners. I know ball better than that.
But yeah, you are correct. It is Nick Shimanek. He was your last quarterback to throw for over 30 touchdowns. So hopefully Barron can break that streak. And get to that 30 touchdown mark. I think you have a really good season if he can get there.
Barron is also
go ahead, Clay.
Barron's also the longest healthy quarterback we've had since Shimanek this far into the season.
First quarterback start 5 games.
First time since 2017. A whole 5 games in. That is wild. We're not even halfway through yet. Yeah. So knock on wood for Barron staying healthy, at least against Arizona. We have got to do a worst quarterback in Texas Tech, like ranking that
would be a great draft. Like last 10 years.
Yes. Like, I mean,
we may hurt some feelings.
Oh, they aren't playing football anymore, so it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, unless you want to throw Bowman in there.
Jake Strong.
Jake Strong would not be.
Jake Strong is not on that list.
3.
He's not on that list.
No.
Bro, we would have won against BYU if I was playing quarterback.
That is not true.
I firmly believe that. I will die on the hill. I firmly believe that.
The Crandall legend himself, Conrad Mills.
No. It's more of an intramural, legend. I mean, I did have a couple good games on the intramural field. I threw a couple deep balls to Z over there. We had some pretty good runs. So,
hey, I'd love to see it, man. But it would be like, I mean, just to name a couple McLean Carter, Jet Duffy, like just the guys you had, Henry Columby. I'm just thinking of guys that we had to watch play quarterback for you, and it is horrifying to think about. So maybe during an episode, maybe an off-season segment, but also comment that below too. If you're not catching anything this episode, comment below, subscribe to the channel, let us know what you think, give us your tech thoughts, share some stories. We want to hear it all. We want to be with you guys. We appreciate everyone checking out our show, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. So give us all your thoughts and opinions. We're here for all of them, and we don't censor, so bring them on. So any other final thoughts as we close the show?
I'm just looking forward to being back with you guys on Sunday night after a win, baby.
Come on, man. Well, Reckham Tech, let's go beat Arizona, and we will be here on Monday for our reaction episode. Boys, have a great night. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Brennan.
Reckham.